Good morning. This is going to be a little bit of a FlipCon 2022 recap a year later, talking about upcoming FlipCon and a what sold. This what sold is based on everything I bought when I went to FlipCon last year in 2022. I actually, a couple months ago, or when I first bought the items, I set it aside on a separate part of my spreadsheet, so I didn't even have to do that much work. So I went back and I found out which items had sold, and I put the profit for those items. This was a year ago, and I already sourced differently than I did a year ago. And I went to FlipCon to have fun. I didn't really care, what I found. I was just there for fun. So these are the things, some of the things that I picked up at the Goodwill Bins in Charlotte and with a ton of other resellers in the room. And there was still good stuff to be found. So that just kind of shows me that if you need to go and flip something for a quick buck, the Goodwill Bins is always the way to go. Okay, so let's talk about FlipCon 2022 and then a little bit about the upcoming one. So I decided to go last year, and I didn't have a YouTube channel yet, and I was on Instagram, and I was really starting to get to know the people in the community. But truthfully, I really only knew a handful of people had messaged them on Instagram. So Rachel Strickland, she knew I was coming, and she was somebody that I knew of personally. Like, I had chatted with her on lives and messaged her on Instagram, and she, tagged me on something, or I tagged her. And so I was really starting to get to know Rachel, and I was excited to meet her. The other person was Angie. In fact, she had even messaged me and asked if I was going, and I said yes. And we weren't sure who we would know when we got there. And so I was really, that very first day, I was looking for Angie. She was supposed to show up kind of around the same time as me. And then also Kristen, a rural squirrel. I had known of her from some other people's channels, but I hadn't, I guess, interacted with her as much as I had Angie and Rachel. Angie was actually it was the very first time I popped into somebody's live and participated in the chat was on her channel. And I just thought that was really cool. I hadn't done that before, and it was, helped me get invited or integrated into the reseller community that is on YouTube and Instagram. But I really tried to, pop in and see my friends' videos, and if they had a premiere, I would try to go in and chat and say something. And this all started, last year. So I go in and I know I'm looking for three people. I'm like, okay, I know at least three people. When I got to the hotel, it was pretty early the first morning. I think it was Thursday, because they didn't do it for as long last year. So I got there the first morning really early. I went to go drop my bags off with the bellhop, but they actually had my room ready. So I dropped my stuff off in the room, and I was down in the lobby in that 9 o'clock hour because I figured people might be meeting to go to the bins. And I was really putting myself out there. I didn't have a car, and I was just willing to just say, hi, are you with FlipCon? Can I go with you to the bins? But I would call an Uber if for some reason that didn't work out. And in the lobby, immediately, I met a lady named Robbie. And Robbie is coming back this year, and she's not on YouTube, but she did have an Instagram. But turns out we live not far from each other. She's in Austin, I'm in San Antonio. So she took me to the Charlotte Bins. So I went to the Charlotte Bins and I found several things. I'm looking at my spreadsheet right now, and it looks like I spent $1.42 per item. I got this cardigan that was pretty heavy, and I think and a couple belts that might have been slightly heavier, and a few pairs of jeans. So it was a little bit more that day. It was $1.42 per item. And then so then Robbie and I heard that people were possibly going somewhere else, and so we looked up a few places, and we'd heard someone say Value Village, so we went to Value Village. So we get to Value Village, and there is, NC Flipper Picker, but he's now ADH Dave. So there was Dave, there was Carrie from American Arbitrage, there was Dawn, Lady Arbitrage, and Art of Resale. So we're at the Value Village, and I knew Dave, but I actually didn't know Carrie at the time. So anyway, so we kind of go talk to them. We're like, oh, hey, you're resellers too. You're here for FlipCon. And we went and we did a little bit and we checked out about the same time. And then Robbie and I were talking about lunch and they're like, there's Bojangles in the parking lot. That's where we're going. So I went to Bojangles with American Arbitrage, Lady Arbitrage, ADH Dave, and Art of Resale. Art has blown up this year, you guys, like crazy, crazy. So that was just so much fun for me because I went into this not really knowing. I know who a lot of people were, but I didn't think they knew me and I hadn't like interacted with them. So then they put us on their videos. In fact, I said that my first YouTube video that I was on Carrie's American Arbitrage, but Dave corrected me and he said my video came out first. So if you go to my playlist, I have videos of me on other channels. And the first one is ADH Dave, the former NC picker flipper. He videoed his day and he has a video of us at Bojangles. The second one is Carrie did kind of the same thing. As soon as I got home from FlipCon, I went back and watched all of Carrie's Across America videos that he was doing leading up to FlipCon. And then I continued to watch all the ones he was doing to go home. He just started his series again. He's on his way again to FlipCon. So he and Don left at the end of July and they'll be doing every other day videos. They said they weren't going to do daily, but I have been keeping up with those and excited to watch them get closer to where I'll get to see them again. All right, so that was the first day. And then we get back to the lobby and that's when I finally get to meet Angie. She was down in the lobby. Later that evening, I met Rachel and I also got to meet, Rachel was telling me that she was waiting for Chrissy. And I did not know who Chrissy was. And she said, oh, Colin's on the move. And I'm like, nope, I don't know who that is. So I went to Instagram and I followed her. Chrissy met us and it's history. The rest is history. So I met Chrissy the first night of FlipCon and she is one of my bestest reseller friends and a friend in real life. So super excited that FlipCon started all of that. I got to meet several people in person and make new friends as well. Went to FlipCon. It was fantastic. Where's my notebook? I'm going to take this one back this year. So I got my notebook and anybody who gave me stickers or anybody I've ordered from over the past few. So, I got stickers, dealing with Dalton, Angie resells. So this is my little notebook that I got when I went to a Worth Point workshop. And then I've got FlipCon notes. So I had notes. I've got motivation panel, figure out your why, learn from your failures, accountability. I have all these notes. I have notes on scaling. I put a star next to something that Angie had told me. We've got optimization and networking and marketing and little drawings. And it just says make a crappy video. And I think it was Hustle at Home Mom that said that. And that kind of led to where I am today. They're like, you have to make your first video. Make a crappy video and get it over with and then get practicing. So I'm pretty sure that's Ashley, Hustle at Home Mom, that said that. Just make the crappy video. And that's what I did. And now I'm here. And I don't know if they're better or not. So anyways, this is my little notebook. I also have eBay open notes, and I will be taking this notebook with me to FlipCon as well. So we went through FlipCon, and it was amazing, and it was wonderful. And then the Saturday after FlipCon, my flight was like at 5. So Kristen and Angie and Leslie, Wiggle Room on YouTube, we went to the bins again, and I think we made it pretty much right at opening. So I got to go to the bins one more time with Angie and Kristen. And while we were there, we met Miss Taffy. So I've got 2 more videos, one with Kristen, a rural squirrel, and one with Miss Taffy, where I'm in their videos a little bit because they're thrifting at the Charlotte bins. And that was the last one. Angie took me back to the hotel. She took Kristen to the airport. I sat at the hotel for a couple hours. I got to talk to Carrie and Dave a little bit more. I got to meet Star, Flipping Hippos. And then I got to actually say goodbye and say hello to Josh and Haley themselves, the Tornadoes, and got to tell them, how much I enjoyed the event and how happy I was to be there. So even just hanging out in the lobby those last few hours after I thrifted, waiting for my flight, were just really great. I think Yaya Rambles was there too. Several people. I also met several people in the course of the event. I can't list them all because the one social night was just like crazy, but I know I met Happy and Grumpy Picker, and I met um, Nina's Jewels, and I met Wyatt from Rewilded Reselling, and then of course I saw Cha-Ching King in person, which I was so excited about. He was another one that I was waiting to meet in person. I don't even, Leroy, Blood, Sweat, Sell, Drew Profit Monsters, Joey Bada Bing. I mean, these are just all people. Lavender Clothesline. I mean, all these people you briefly got to either say hello to or chat a little bit with. I got to meet all of these people at the nighttime social events, and it was just a lot of fun. Hopefully, as I've been talking, I'm going to go back and edit and throw up pictures as we are talking. But that's my recap of last year and why I'm so excited to go back this year. It's going to be even bigger. It's the last one. Josh says, listen, I have some ideas. You can really delegate this out and keep it going. You don't have to work so much, you and Haley. But anyway, I'm sure you can figure that all out. But I think FlipCon in general should not end. There should maybe be other versions of it out there. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm about a week away from going. Today is Wednesday, and I am flying in actually Tuesday night next week. So Wednesday morning, the day that check-in starts in the evening, I will be back at the bins. I don't even know who I'm meeting with. I've got my friend Julie, Mrs. Frugal Trash to Cash, showing up in town. I've got Coco and Chewy showing up. And hopefully, if someone's not there by the time that I want to go to the bins, I'll hitch another ride with somebody I just met in the lobby. If you are going, let me know. Find me on Instagram so you can DM me, and maybe we can, make a plan to see each other, to meet up. I'm just super excited about it. So last year I went to the bins and it looks like I spent $60.92. I pulled a couple things out because they became personal keeps. And I don't know how many items there are. It looks like there are 43 items. 43 items. I spent $1.42 each item that first day at the bins. I spent $76 an item the second day at the bins. And then I went to the Value Village and I bought some clothing at $5.26 each, some shoes for $5.26, and we went to one more thrift store, I think. And that was I don't even remember what it was. We did go to one more thrift store and I bought some Ziggy Valentines for $2. So let's go through and maybe find out my best sales. I picked up a lot of hats. We'll do the hats first. So I first picked up this Ping hat in pink, Ping Golf. I ended up only making $6.50 on that, but that was also the first day when the cost of goods was $1.42. The second day, that's what you see in Ms. Taffy's videos. I'm picking up a lot more hats. I picked up a Pokemon hat, a child's hat from the 90s, Days of Thunder, like a promotional hat from the movie. It was a vintage. It was from the same time the movie was out. I picked up some signed golf hats, a Team Oracle hat, like the yachting team, right? And a couple other hats. Not all of them have sold. Pokemon hat, my profit was $15 and change. The Days of Thunder hat, I sold on Macari, and it was over $16 profit. The Wachovia Championship hat, it had signatures all over it, and I couldn't identify which golfers there were. I just, told people that it was this year, and so these are the possible golfers that would be signed on that hat. I got a $13 profit on that, and the Team Oracle yachting hat was a $12 profit. So just from selling my hats, I made all my money back. A couple other really cool finds. I sold a Miracle suit. It still had the sanitary liner, and I actually only just listed it this spring with my swimsuits, and I sold it last week. My profit was almost $30. So Miracle suits are a good find, especially if they're going to be new. I sold a Lincoln Mercury tie, like a dealer's tie, and Lincoln is still around, but Mercury is not. And I had it listed and I really thought it would sell. And then in one of my delisting, relisting periods, it sold right after relisting. I made $16 and change on the tie. I also found this really cool webbed belt with the Grateful Dead bears. And it was called like Airport brand because I think you can wear it through the airport and you don't have to take it off because it's all plastic and webbing. So I sold this Grateful Dead belt for a profit of about $16, $17. I picked up this gorgeous, and I'm not going to necessarily have photos for all of these because I purged my photos, and some of these are sold long enough that the photos aren't on eBay either. But I found this gorgeous white leather purse with primary color trim called Sharif, and it was just straight from the 80s, maybe the 90s. But it was white, but it had red, green, blue, and yellow braiding and trim. It almost looked like a Brighton bag, but it was called Sharif. My profit on that was $24. That was the best one that I found. Now, the stuff I got at Value Village, I bought these clothing items called Crown and Ivy, and they were really cute and my size, so I just kind of bought them and they were like fake Lily Pulitzer. I find out, I think they're either Bells or something like that, like a store brand, like Foley's or Bells or something like that. I ended up making $8 on one thing, and then the rest I only made like $4 on. That they weren't as good of a buy. But I found these wool clogs, and I'd never found the brand before, and it's called Haflinger. And I just figured wool clogs for $5, I was in. And my profit on those was $20. I added up everything that has sold, and I still have things that haven't sold. I have a great Looney Tunes Henley that I don't know why it hasn't sold. I think it's awesome, but it's kind of an odd color. You can't tell if it's gray or green, and I think maybe I need to take new photos. But my total profit, so I spent $60.92. My profit was $264.11 from those thrifting trips, which, you know what? That helps pay for one of the hotel or one or two of the hotel nights. It almost paid for the ticket. The ticket's about $300. So I thrifted enough to help decrease the cost of my FlipCon 2022 trip. What about this year? Am I going to do the same? Well, I hope. I'm going to have Wednesday free, and I'm going to have almost all of Saturday free after the event. So I hope to pick up some great things. I am flying, so I'm limited, but Southwest lets you take 2 bags and 2 carry-ons. So I can check 2 bags and still have stuff, to carry on the plane. But we'll see what I find. I'm not actually in the mood to bring home a lot, especially in the clothing area, and I can't really bring home breakables. So I'll probably be looking a lot for toys, maybe shoes, interesting things that aren't breakable. I look forward. Please, please, please comment below if you are going to FlipCon, and I will look out for you. Everybody else, I will see you later, and keep on reselling.